Italian Renaissance religious painting. If you see a guy and he's standing and he's holding his flayed skin in front of him, you know that's St. Bartholomew, because that's his attribution. If you see a dude who has a cruciform halo behind his head, that's Christ, because he's the only guy that gets a cruciform halo. If you see a dude and he's riddled with arrows, that's St. Sebastian, because contrary to popular belief, it's not how he was murdered, but he was tied to a fucking pillar and shot full of arrows by Romans. They have rules, right? Later on, you get history painting, they have to be a little bit more clever. They're telling a story. Sometimes you'll see the same character in multiple places in a painting. That's different moments in the story.
It's a narrative,
more like a comic book.
Of course, yeah, there's so much symbology and deep representation in a piece of art, or image.
And then in modernism, you would have guys who don't tell you shit, and you have to figure it out, right? So you'd have Picasso, and he is showing you a nose that's over here, and an indication of a nose that's kind of a little bit different, and the eyes are from different angles, and he's showing you an object. You know, maybe it's a vase, or a pear, or a person. But you can tell it's a person, even though it's not depicting what they look like. It's the idea of the structure. That's what he's doing. Pollock, he's showing you motion and how he's painting.
I love your art. I like that. That's a good passion that you have.
And somewhere in the 70s, the colleges all decided they needed to make art more academic, because otherwise they couldn't secure funding. And so now it becomes about theory and about writing.
Have you been past the Sheraton Hotel over here with their digital display?
Yeah.
It's got the same thing with the blood platelets in it. And then it has this whole thing with a train that has that, like what people would call the Illuminati eye. And
I guarantee you, if you find the name of the artist, go onto their webpage, there will be a 8-paragraph page of text you need to read to understand what they're going for.
Yeah.
And you
it's got the traveling man sculpture in it too.
I don't get any of that from what you're doing.
Have you ever dealt with...
There are some artists alive who are working that write the fucking page because they have to.
I like Pegasus
Plaza.
Plaza.
Where you can see what's going on.
I like the sculpture of Medusa and all of that down at Pegasus Plaza from the aerial. I don't know if you know the myth of Pegasus, but Perseus chops off the head of Medusa and the Muses come out, and Pegasus is born from that event, and that's all. One
of my favorite sculptures in the whole world is a sculpture of Perseus holding Medusa's head that's in a loggia in Florence. It's where
I've been to Florence when I was young.
It's where the David originally was, by the old city hall, and then there's like a porch area, so they call it a loggia. And he's fucking holding her head, and her guts are just hanging out her neck, and it is absolutely one of the most wild things I've ever seen.
I think I've seen it. I've seen it. It's like a silver or bronze.
It's a bronze.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it.
It's not a very dark bronze.
I love that sculpture too, but it has a deep meaning to me.
Right by, there's the Hercules fighting the centaur, where he's on the centaur's back, and he's got the centaur in a headlock, bent backwards. That's a Chien Bologna. Oh, that's a fucking great sculpture. You look at that centaur, all the anatomy and the musculature makes sense on a creature that does not make any goddamn sense, right? There's no fucking thing as a centaur. He couldn't go and observe that, right? Like traditional art, you got a model and you observed them, right? You looked at where their love handle was hanging, where the muscle of their stomach was connected in a particular pose. This guy's creating it in his head and then making that happen in fucking stone.
Yeah, no doubt.
I've carved stone. That shit's a fucking bear.
I can only imagine. That's such a talent that I admire that too.
Subtractive. I can do additive sculpture. I minored in sculpture.
While I've got you here, I feel like I should ask you something else. You deal with people like the curators and stuff of the Dallas Museum of Art, a very world-renowned, establishment. Been around for probably 50, 60 years? Maybe more.
No, we're 120.
Okay, got it. See, there we go. What role have you seen the elite play in the what's going on there, and how would you define that?
They play a lot more of a role with contemporary than they do with other things. Now,
when you say they, who are we talking about?
So, off the top of my head, the Rose family, the Wachowski family, the Hoffman family. So that's Dee Dee Rose. She owns the Crescent and a number of other properties. However, big real estate developer. She's been pushing like more decorative art, more jewelry. because her daughter is in the fashion world. She pushes fashion shows on us, which I fucking hate. They're just advertisements for fucking luxury brands. It's like even worse than the normal fucking corruption of things. Wachowski is much more seated into like
Where's he from?
Contemporary art. I think he's native to here. I don't know how long his family was here, but he's hedge fund money. I'm sure he's not self-made because none of them are fucking self-made.
It's all these old money, yeah.
But then there's other ones like she recently passed in the last like maybe 5 years. Margaret McDermott. She passed when she was
She
like
has like a
108
charity.
years old. Her husband founded Texas Instruments.
Oh, really?
And she gave money to everybody. There is a building in every one of these arts buildings named after her. And
Yeah, I've seen her name
she
around.
hated having her name stuck on things. Usually had her husband's name put on it.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
She
T.I.,
gave
man.
us something like 2,200 pieces of work in like 20 years. And she was very big on like, I think we should buy more of this stuff because I think the prices are as low as they're ever going to be. There's a big opportunity, and oftentimes that was stuff like Indonesian art or African art. You know, really like
Several years ago, I saw
pushing
Dolly.
us to be.
I saw some Dolly in there.
Yeah, we have some dollies. Dollies are actually really weird. Like
They're really
unless you're
small.
getting they're all small.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting the early stuff, prices are quite variable. Because he was so prolific, and I've heard people call him a fool.
he did
In
so
his
much.
late career, he was just pumping stuff out to keep up the bills because he lived a very lavish lifestyle,
Yeah.
and he did not save money. He had a game where he'd take all of his friends out for extremely expensive meals. You know, best wine, best food, best everything, and then he would write out a check for the meal, and then he would turn over the check and do a quick drawing. Nobody ever cashed the checks because you have an original.
Do you know who Gabriel Allon is?
I don't think so.
He's a character from the Daniel Silva books.
I know Daniel Silva.
He's an art restorer.
I've worked with him several times.
Yeah. He's on the Holocaust Memorial Council. He's actually a friend of my family, but
he's got local connections, and he does author talks at the museum all the time. I just got done with an author talk.
really,
Yeah.
that's neat. Yeah,
Actually, another local writer who's very ascendant right now. She's like 26. She sold the fuck out of the fucking auditorium. She went to Green Hill. I think she's currently studying.
Green Hill School?
Yeah.
it's in Addison, right?
Yeah, actually,
I know the one.
most of the authors we have come through here.
I used to
think
know a
are-
teacher there.
are
She was a great
kind
gal.
of Fucking not idiots, but just all prose and character, no plot, no structure. They just write these ambling slice of life things. Couldn't give two shits about that stuff. She seems like she's a very smart cookie.
I bet.
Like, she's gonna have a fucking future. What was her name? RF Quang. K-U-A-N-G.
Quang.
Yeah. She's gonna be doing very well for herself.
Neat.
Like
What's your name?
JD.
JD?
Yeah.
I'm Eugene Irvin, man. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I guess I should let you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna get going. I gotta get home, get sleep. I gotta be.
Would you
working.
mind